What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a reaction to Levelers and their album Zeitgeist, brought to us by friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, Ian. Thank you, Ian. I always appreciate everything he brings me. He usually brings me stuff I don't know or don't know real well, and I always end up liking it. Appreciate all the patrons. If you'd like to help us out in any way, please check out the Patreon link below. We really, really appreciate it. We could not do this channel without our patrons. All right, I don't know anything about Levelers. They might have appeared in a top 10 list, or on a live stream. I've heard of them, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. But I found that the Levelers are an English folk rock band formed in Brighton, England in 1988, consisting of Mark Chadwick, guitar and vocals, Jeremy Cunningham, bass guitar, Charlie Heather on drums, John Savinick on violin, Simon Friend on guitar and vocals, Matt Savage on keyboards, and Dan Donnelly on guitars and vocals. Not everybody is on this album, but I'll tell you those guys later. Taking their name from the Levelers political movement, the band released their first EP in 1989, first LP in 1990, with international success following upon signing to China Records and the release of their second album, Leveling the Land. The band were among the most popular indie bands in Britain in the early 90s and headlined at Glastonbury in 1994, where they performed on the Pyramid stage to a record crowd of 300,000 people. They continue to record and tour. This album is the fourth album. It was released in 1995, reached #1 in the UK, making it their most successful album. Ian says, "This was another one of my most listened to albums from 1995, with its folksy sound and doleful lyricism. The most successful of the Levelers albums, a band that keeps on producing. This is a solid folk/rock album that deservedly made it to #1 in the UK charts and spawned a few successful singles. The competition was pretty strong in the mid-90s, so this was an achievement." Yeah, it was very strong. The band is a loyal following and are still releasing top 10 albums in the UK 22 years after Zeitgeist, so this points toward their quality. They're active touring bands, so you can still catch them live. They haven't made it across the pond, so you probably haven't heard of them, despite them having 5 UK gold albums and having headlined Glastonbury in 1994. Perhaps their left-wing political views, as per the name of the band, restricted their audience there? ? Very well, could be. The album received mixed reviews, but it was an outlier amongst the Britpop competition at the time, and yet was still a passionate and entertaining listen. Weaker second half. This is my favorite Levelers album because it's an easier listen than the others, and I'm interested to see RTTC's take on it. So if you haven't been with us before, the music will not be in the video, but it will be at a Vimeo link below. Please join along with us. Let's kick this off. And we'll start this off with Hope Street. Ian says one of 2, 3, or 4 singles from the album went to #12 in the UK. We'll get to that in a little while. There were 2 from this, but then these songs were reworked and released again. This song crashes in with a rolling intro before the folk verse interrupts. I like the way the song is broken up with the rolling instrumental sections. A good choice for a single. For this one, we're actually going to watch the video. Thanks again, Ian. All right, Hope Street. Really good opener there. I really enjoyed that. I like getting to see the video first. I don't necessarily like to watch tons of videos on top 10s because it's hard to focus on the video and on the lyrics and what's going on, but I like to see what these guys look like. So I thought that was really good. Interesting arrangement with the hard rock, and then I liked it when they got into just the pleasant melodies and go back to the hard rock. And the songwriting is really good too. There's delving out all these things that are happening on Hope Street, right? Between the young boy and the Q, the old lady, rain on me, come pouring down, clean the dirt off this old town, tell the sun to come around and show his face on Hope Street. So there's got to be hope that comes here on Hope Street, no matter the predicament that these people are in. So very good opener. Ian rates every song, which I really like. He gives this one an 8.5, and I got to agree on that. Next up, we have The Fear. The existential crisis is explored in this nice little energetic song. Ian gives it an 8 out of 10. The Fear, a really catchy song, right? The longer it went, the more I was getting into it. And some really good writing here. Do your nightmares tear you apart? Do you wake up screaming, shouting in the dark? The demons keep you awake. Does the clock tick more slowly with every breath you take? And then that chorus, you know, it feels like you're going insane. I've done everything you told me to take away the pain. Then you change my medication again. It's harder to tell just who or what. And saying the very last one, the very last verse, well, maybe you love me better, a little deranged, but it may be a different way. If it keeps on the way it's going, there'll be no one staying sane. So really great instrumentation on this one as well. Really liked the guitar work on here from Simon Friend and Mark Chadwick, the vocalist. But yeah, it was just a really good tune. Next up, we have Exodus. Ian says a live version of which was later released as a single, reaching #24. The album continues with the third strong song in a row, another impassioned song, some nice orchestration on this. gives it a rich sound to this. 8 out of 10. And this one's by far the most streamed song. So you might know this one if you're in the UK. Okay, Exodus. I mean, I thought the stars on this was definitely the arrangement and the musicians, right? The instrumentation on this. The song itself, I mean, it was catchy enough, but I mean, am I the only one that thinks the previous two tracks, that Hope Street and The Fear, were a little bit better than this? Not that this was a bad song, but he's just kind of putting a little biblical allusion in here, different things like verse 2, at midnight the Pharisees plant the poison, false evidence to bring all back in line. It's no method just dealing out by justice when no one here has committed any crime. So I don't know exactly what he's writing to, but we'll turn the course of, we'll turn the dust to soil, turn the rust of hate back into passion. It's not water into wine, but it's here, and it's happening massive but passive to bring the peace back. So I thought it was a really good song, because I just think the other two were actually maybe even just a little bit better, but this was the huge hit. Now we go to the 4th track, Maid of the River. Ian says, a quieter song, scaled back from the earlier tracks, so let you relax into the album. A 7.5 out of 10. Maid of the River. Once again, instrumentation, not only really strong, but really interesting. Right now, what you would expect if they were, quote, Britpop, the Britpop label. I don't want to get into debating what is Britpop and what isn't, but Jonathan Sevenick on the fiddle. Simon Friend, I know, was doing some mandolin in there. He had to have been. But, and Charlie Heather and the drums have been really good on everything as well. But, Mark delivers a nice vocal performance there. I don't know if this song, I was trying to figure it out. I don't know if this song is about a girl or it's actually like about the environment, sort of. So I don't know, if the Maid of the River is technically really just kind of like Mother Earth. I don't know, but it was nice to hear them in a different light with that scaled back delivery. Now we go to the second most streamed song by far in here, Saturday to Saturday. Ian says, this song is worth the 8. I'm giving it for the lyric, quote, and the sentiment of the last song I heard stays with me as if I'd written every word. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. Saturday to Sunday. I think I might have called it Saturday to Saturday in the intro to the song. I don't know, but I'm not going to go back and edit it. Saturday to Sunday. I really like this. I love the sound of it. It did sound a little more Britpopish, since we were on that subject on the last song. And I don't know if he's just leaving somewhere. I think that's what he's doing. And there are the days and the ways I've known, dreaming that this bird has flown. And if you burnt your fingers in the fire, remember me and my desire. It might be easier this way. Could be easier that way. It could be easier this way. It's got to be easier this way if you're trying to change the world. And, that line in there. It's the second verse in the sentiment of the last song that I heard. Stays with me as if I'd written every word. That is some great lyricism here. And the lyricism is really good on this album. Next up is 4 a.m. Ian says, this folk/punk rant wakes you up after the more sedate previous 2 tracks. Works in the context of the album as a frantic instrumental that gets the blood pumping. All right, let's pump this thing up. 7.5 out of 10 for Ian. Interesting little, almost, I guess, about 50-second coda on that where it just dialed. It went silent. I'm like, because there's going to be 45 seconds, 50 seconds of silence. But I really do like the rockiness of the song. Like they're going, there's more to the song than just they're out partying. But 4 a.m., the person leaves, and let's see. Be sure to send a postcard when you get there. Let me know. You know that I won't stop when you go. And then it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Some stuff happens at 6 o'clock in the morning. Very catchy, and we'll probably, a little sneak peek here, end up on my favorites list. Next up, as we reach the quasi halfway point, there's 13 songs. This is song number 7. We got Forgotten Ground. Ian says, this song adds the mandolin to the 4. 8 out of 10. Forgotten Ground, that mandolin's in there, man. The build on this song and the different changes in tempo, I think made it stand out. For me, I don't know if it's going to be on my favorite list, but it made it stand out as being different. That's what I've noticed through the first half of this album. These guys can be versatile. It's not just this one sound fits all. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but pretty good lyricism here too. I think the songs are really well written. I don't know what all of them are about. But that doesn't mean they're not well written, right? Breaking the line, forever under the sun. It will be done together for each to be one. Come along, to be is easy, taking the stars. Across the road at the end of this place, it's not far and anyone can go there. It's waste ground. There's no name on this place, but it always has and always will be there. So whatever this sanctified ground is. So yeah, man, good song. Next up, we have Fantasy. Went to number 16 on the charts, the other official single from the album. Ian says, an interesting song concept of how everyone has their own little world of dreams. Ian says, I'm not sure I agree with the sentiment of the song on reflection 25 years later, but a great song, an 8 out of 10. All right, Fantasy. Another one is just fantastic instrumentally, right? The arrangement. I don't know who the song's about. I mean, he's just going through these different fantasies about being a rock star, but then at the very end, he's a lawyer. He's in Parliament, and he makes decisions at your derision. He reminds us, oh, that we're free. So it was a political shot, but early on, for most of it, he's playing himself as a rock star, sort of. So the guitar work on here, which I imagine it was Simon Friend, but I know Mark Chadwick, the singer, also does some guitar work. So I don't know which one, or probably both, really hammering this out. And then the drumming from Charlie Heather. Jeremy Cunningham, music like this, the bass is good. It's essential in that rhythm section, but it doesn't ever stand out because that's just kind of not what you're trying to do on these. But I want to give him a shout out. I wasn't trying to ignore him. Now we go to PC Keen. Ian says, this is the weakest song on the album for me. One I tend to skip. Perhaps I'm missing something. This anti-establishment rant. PC equals police constable, for those of us who don't know like me. Doesn't work for me. Gives it just a 5 out of 10. PC Keen. Basically, our protagonist here is standing up for truth, but the cops, the police constable, has got the goods on him. And our protagonist is going to stand up and for what's right, but he doesn't stand a chance. The levelers are telling us because, the police and the establishment hold all the power. I see what they were trying to do on here at the arrangement, right? They're trying to build that drama in here, because this guy's in a lot of trouble from the very start. The very first verse, they start building that soundscape up. It doesn't work for me either. It's more almost theatrical, like it would work in a movie, but it doesn't really work in the flow of the album. I mean, I respect what they were trying to do there. And next up, we have Just the One. Ian says a re-recorded version of it went to number 12 in the singles charts. Interesting instrumental arrangements. I'm not sure what they're using. Short but tolerable. And interesting for featuring Joe Strummer, of course, of The Clash, if nothing else. And supposedly he's on the piano on this one. All right, Just the One. Now, the lyrics I was reading were longer. I saw the single version was a minute longer. And I'm not sure if Strummer's on the single version or not. I don't know. I don't know if he's on this one, because I didn't really hear a lot of piano on there, mainly acoustic. But it's interesting because Mark just had to free flow this, right? It's almost like a rap to a certain extent. He's not delivering it like an MC would on a hip hop track, but he's got a free flow so quickly when you're reading the lyrics. And it's the age old story that most of us who have lived long enough have one of these nights, two, maybe a little bit more, where he's going to have just the one and then he gets out of control. And he takes a pill too. He takes half of it, then he takes the other half for laughs. So, most of us have had one of those, like I said, several of those nights where you're like, man, that got a little out of control. So I thought it was interesting and original for the album because it's different than what we've had so far. Next up, we have Haven't Made It. Ian says, this song saves the second half of the album for me. A less frantic song with acoustic instrumentation. Almost has an REM feel. I'm down for that. An 8 out of 10. Haven't made it yet. Now, I know Ian influenced me by saying it sounded like REM, but I heard it right away. So I'd like to think that this guy right here would have figured that out. But I don't know. I could have definitely been influenced because, Ian's exactly right. Definitely sounds like REM, even in the delivery that Mark has. And obviously, the mandolin in there almost sounds like a Rickenbacker is being played as well. I don't know. Maybe it's the mandolin being manipulated a little bit. But Haven't Made It. I like that song a ton because I like REM a ton. But, you haven't made it yet. Just remember that, boys and girls. Really good song. All right, we got 2 songs left. We got Leave This Town. Ian says another noisier and higher tempo song. Perfectly pleasant love song with simple lyrics. Nothing special. 7 out of 10. Leave This Town. A fun one too. A 7 out of 10 for me too on that song, as Ian said. Nothing special. Hey, I'll tell you something. At my age at 51, if somebody called me a 7 out of 10, I would not consider that nothing special. I would take that, man. So 7 out of 10 is not bad. It's got a great story. It's a story that a lot of people live out, right? He's telling the woman, it's probably his wife, I don't know, the woman he loves, hey, we talked about leaving this town, and you told me all these stories of all the things you were going to do. And they're still here. He's still drinking in the same bar that they met in, and they still talk about how they're going to go out and do all these things and make their life, in another place, the adventures, right, that we all want when we're young. And so we're still at the very end, like we're still going to do it, but you get the feeling, right? Time has passed, and we just keep talking about it, and it's hard sometimes to do those things. So I thought that was a good tune, man. I thought once again, a little different. I think we have a lot of differentiation on here, but I'll get to that at the end. We still got 1 track left. Well, we made it all the way to the 13th track without Sean having to butcher something. But here we go, man. What we've all been waiting for. Men and Toll. Probably not right. Solid final track, Ian says it avoids the mid-90s desire for 8-minute finales. Oh, yeah. It ends when it showed a 7.5 out of 10. And I was wondering what it was. So the Minatoll was a small formation of standing stones in Cornwall, UK. It's also known locally as the Crickstone. It consists of 3 upright granite stones, a round stone with its middle holed out, with 2 standing stones to each side, in front of and behind the hole. When seen at an angle from one side, the stones form a 3-dimensional. So I know I've seen this in pictures, but I didn't know that's what it was called. Menento, I'm a broken record, no pun intended, but very different than any other tune on here. And I'll save my thoughts on that when we sum up the album in just a minute. But lyrically, I thought it was a little almost Led Zeppelin type, right? A little fantasy type for a little bit there. I think he's just talking about being out by the Menento and out from the city. You can think better. That's where he's comfortable. When you get in the city and you kind of get beat down, but you can find your way there if you concentrate really hard. But I thought it was just, and then it kicks in about a third of the way through with the, upbeat and just much more instrumentation in there. I thought it was a good way to finish it. It's not going to be on my favorites, which we're going to transition to, but I thought it was a strong tune. But we'll talk about those favorite tracks now. I think Ian was right that the second side's weaker than the first side for sure, but I don't think it's real weak or anything. I just think in comparison, and that's what happens sometimes, right? One side of an album back in the day when we had sides of the albums, boys and girls, one side of the album's really strong. And then the other side that can't live up to it. So then in your head, you think it is weaker, but it's just because this is so good. So my honorable mentions, Exodus, 4 a.m., and Fantasy. My faves are going to be Hope Street, The Fear, Saturday to Sunday, and Haven't Made It. So what is that? That's 7 of the, that's 8. I can count, I promise. That's 8 of the 13 up on there. So now we're going to get to my overall score. Before I do that, Ian says, overall, I think this is a 7.75. Enough variety to keep you listening. A distinctive sound that's not too derivative. No tracks that go on too long. Well balanced and enjoyable. An album I'm happy to play 25 years later. I think he basically spoke for me too. Ian's a smart guy. Not just because, he has the same take I do, but it helps. But I think all that same stuff, right? I kept mentioning through, there's a variety. Sometimes when you listen to 90s, and I don't even consider this Britpop, but I'm not an authority on Britpop. People always want to come at me in comments. This is Britpop, this isn't Britpop, whatever. This doesn't all sound the same. And a lot of Britpop albums, all the songs sound basically the same. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of them are fantastic. But this has a lot of differentiation. So I was really impressed with that from Levelers, not the Levelers, although it depends on how you search them out. They're going to show up both ways. But on their own website, it's Levelers. So Levelers really had some stuff here. And I guess they're still going. But yeah, kind of a shame they didn't hit it big, but it got awfully crowded, right? Got awfully crowded in the 90s, like it got awfully crowded in the 70s. And a lot of great groups or artists just didn't quite make it where they should be. I'm going to be right there. I think a 7.75 is a perfect score for this, man. I think it's great because I don't think there was really, there wasn't too many weak tracks on here. And everything was enjoyable. Everything was distinctive. Great musicianship. I like Mark Chadwick's vocals. I think they're really good. So yeah, I'm glad you brought this one to me. I got a couple of these I'm putting on my faves list. Hope Street being my favorite one. I think that is an absolute banger, but there's some good ones on here. So let me know what you think of Levelers. What do you think your favorite tracks are on here? And what else should I check out from them? Thanks again, Ian. And until next time, guys, I will see you.